Welcome back. Tonight we're going to talk about 3 true stories that will make you think twice about booking your next cheap motel room. These are stories about people just like you or me, normal people. They were tired, they were looking for a good night's sleep, they were looking for a place to rest their head. Or maybe they were just passing through town. Whatever the reason, they found themselves checking into a motel, only to discover that some motels have secrets hiding in the shadows, and by the time they realized how much danger they were in, it was almost too late. Picture this. A young woman named Sarah is driving across the country. She's on a solo road trip, her first one ever. She's excited to see where the road takes her, to experience new things. It's getting late, and Sarah's starting to get tired. She sees a sign for a motel up ahead. It looks clean and safe, plus it has a vacancy sign lit up. She pulls in, checks in at the front desk, and gets her key. Everything seems normal. Sarah brings her bags into her room and starts unpacking. She's tired from a long day of driving, so she decides to just relax for a bit before heading out to find something to eat. She turns on the TV and flips through the channels, but nothing's really catching her eye. That's when she notices something strange. There's a small, blinking light on the smoke detector. It's not the usual blinking pattern she's used to seeing. This one is blinking faster, more erratically. She figures maybe the battery is low or something, but curiosity gets the best of her. She grabs a chair from the desk and places it under the smoke detector. Standing on her tiptoes, she's able to get a closer look. As she peers at the smoke detector, her heart skips a beat. It's not a smoke detector at all. There's a tiny camera lens hidden inside. Panic surges through her. Someone has been watching her this whole time. She thinks back to when she first entered the room. Did she do anything that would have been recorded? She can't believe this is happening. She feels violated, scared. She immediately calls the front desk and demands to speak to the manager. The manager, a greasy-haired man with a smug look on his face, tries to downplay the situation. He claims it's all just a big misunderstanding, that the camera is not operational. But Sarah knows better. She hangs up and immediately calls the police. When the police arrive, they search the room and discover that the camera is indeed real, and it was recording. The manager is arrested and Sarah is left shaken but determined to make sure this never happens to anyone else. She decides to share her story online, warning other travelers to be vigilant and to always check for hidden cameras. Sarah's story goes viral. People are horrified by what happened to her, and many come forward with their own stories of hidden cameras in motels. The incident sparks a nationwide conversation about privacy and security in the hospitality industry. New laws are proposed to protect guests from these kinds of violations. Sarah becomes an advocate for traveler safety, working with organizations to raise awareness about hidden cameras and other dangers that travelers may encounter. She knows that even though she had a terrifying experience, she can use her story to help others stay safe. Sarah's story serves as a stark reminder that even in seemingly ordinary places like motels, we should always be aware of our surroundings and take steps to protect ourselves. Our next story revolves around a couple, Emily and David, who decide to take a much-needed vacation. They've been working overtime lately and just need a change of scenery. They decide on a secluded cabin in the woods, perfect for a romantic getaway. They arrive at the cabin late at night. It's charming from the outside, but there's an unsettling stillness to the air. Undeterred, they grab their bags and head inside. The interior of the cabin is cozy, with a fireplace and a big, comfy-looking bed, but it's freezing inside. And there's an odd, musty smell, like something old and damp. They figure it's just because the cabin hasn't been used in a while. They start a fire in the fireplace and unpack their bags, hoping to warm up the place a bit. As they're unpacking, Emily notices a strange inscription carved into the bottom of the bedside table drawer, "Help me." She brushes it off as some kids messing around, but a shiver runs down her spine. Later that night, as they're lying in bed, they hear a noise, a soft scratching sound coming from the closet. David, thinking it's just an animal, tries to ignore it, but the scratching gets louder, more insistent. He gets out of bed to check it out. As he opens the closet door, a cold gust of wind hits him, and he feels an overwhelming sense of dread. There's nothing in the closet. He closes the door and tells Emily it was probably just the wind. They try to go back to sleep, but the atmosphere in the room feels heavy, oppressive. Suddenly the temperature in the room plummets. Emily can see her own breath in the air, and then the whispering starts. Faint at first, just at the edge of hearing. They can't make out what it's saying, but it seems to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Emily and David are now terrified. They huddle together in the bed, too scared to move. The whispering grows louder, more insistent, and then, they hear their names, whispered slowly, distinctly, with a chilling malice. They know they have to get out of there. They scramble out of bed, throw on their clothes, and grab their bags. As they're fumbling with the lock on the front door, they hear a blood-curdling scream coming from upstairs. They don't even hesitate. They throw open the door and run out into the night. They run until they can't run anymore, until they collapse on the side of the road, gasping for breath. They never go back to the cabin. Later they find out from locals that their cabin had a dark history. A family had been murdered there many years ago, and their spirits were said to haunt the cabin, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to stay there. Emily and David's experience leaves them deeply shaken, forever haunted by the memory of that night and the chilling whispers that echoed through the haunted room. Our final story is about a businessman named Mark, who travels frequently for work. He's used to staying in different hotels and motels, never really staying in one place for too long. One night, he finds himself in a rundown motel off a deserted highway. It's late and he's exhausted. He just wants to get some sleep and hit the road early the next morning. He checks in, noticing that the motel clerk seems nervous, agitated. He doesn't think much of it, figures the guy's probably just stressed out. He goes to his room, a dingy, dimly lit room at the end of a long, empty hallway. He throws his suitcase on the bed and starts unpacking his things. That's when he hears it. A soft knock at the door. He checks his watch. It's almost midnight. Who could be visiting at this hour? He cautiously approaches the door and peers through the peephole. Standing in the hallway is a woman. She's tall and slender, with long dark hair. She's dressed in a black dress and heels. She looks out of place. Mark is immediately suspicious. He asks her what she wants through the closed door. The woman smiles, a strange, almost predatory smile. She tells him she's there to see him, that she's been waiting for him. Mark's gut tells him something is wrong. He tells her he doesn't know who she is and to leave him alone. The woman's smile fades. She starts banging on the door, demanding to be let in. Mark can hear the desperation in her voice, but also a chilling undercurrent of something else, something sinister. He backs away from the door, his heart pounding in his chest. He grabs his phone to call the front desk, but the line is dead. He tries calling 911, but there's no signal. He's trapped. The banging on the door gets louder, more frantic. Mark can hear the woman's muffled screams, begging him to open up. He doesn't know what to do. He grabs the chair from the desk and wedges it under the doorknob, hoping to buy himself some time. He looks around the room for anything he can use as a weapon. He grabs the lamp from the nightstand, ready to defend himself. Suddenly the banging stops. There's an eerie silence. Mark holds his breath, listening intently. And then he hears it, a soft, almost imperceptible sound, like something dragging across the floor, coming from right outside his door. It's getting closer. Mark tightens his grip on the lamp, his knuckles turning white. He knows that whatever is out there, it's not human. He closes his eyes, bracing himself for the inevitable. The dragging sound stops right outside his door. Mark waits, his heart pounding in his ears. He waits for what feels like an eternity, and then, just as suddenly as it began, it stops. He cautiously approaches the door again, his ear pressed against the cold wood. Silence. He slowly removes the chair from under the doorknob and cautiously opens the door. The hallway is empty. There's no sign of the woman. Mark is left standing there, shaken to his core, wondering if he imagined the whole thing. He quickly packs his things and checks out of the motel, vowing never to return. He never sees the woman again, but the memory of that night, the terror he felt, stays with him. A chilling reminder that sometimes the greatest dangers are hidden in plain sight. So the next time you find yourself checking into a motel, remember these stories. Be aware of your surroundings. Trust your instincts. And if something feels off, it probably is. Because in the world of motels, not everything is as it seems. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more spine-tingling stories. Stay safe out there, and remember, not everything is as it seems.